Hey there, congratulations, you've made it this far. By now, you're well on your own to mastering the art of building workflows and AI agents in N10. But before we wrap up, I want to take things up a notch. In this final video, we are diving into some advanced concepts that will elevate your workflows from functional to exceptional. You know, those little details and techniques that separate a good workflow from great one. That's what we are covering here. First, we'll talk about something that saved me countless hours. Continue on errors. Sometimes errors happen, but does that mean your entire workflow should stop? Definitely not. I'll show you how to keep things moving smoothly even when things don't go as planned. Then we'll explore about master slave agents. It sounds technical, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful. This concept is all about making your agents work together intelligently in like a well coordinated team. Next, we'll tackle a topic that trips up a lot of people. Difference between OR operators in that are used in the workflows. These operators might look simple, but understanding them will make your workflows cleaner and more efficient. Then we'll explore from AI data type again, which we used earlier in our workflows. Built on And by the end of this video, you'll have a toolkit of advanced techniques that will make your workflows more robust, reliable, and professional. So let's get started. So this is a simple continue on error workflow in which I will be triggering this workflow from by just test workflow trigger, and I added a few URLs of websites. So the first one and the second one are legit ones. The third one is what I made up randomly. And we will be scraping those web URLs using this HTTP workflow or HTTP node. And I did JavaScript here to fetch the URL, and from that URL we'll be fetching the data of that website. Now what I've done here is I've set this on error to stop workflow, which is what it is by default, and I'll try running the workflows and we'll see how this one turns out. And our workflow has stopped because of error, and here is where the error is. The resources you are requesting could not be found. Now let's see if the other option does not stop the workflow or it does it well as well. So here is test workflow. I'll trigger the workflow again, and this time the workflow succeeded. It would have processed all the three URLs, and here we go. So we have three items. First one being data, second one being error, and let me see for sure how the data looks in the result section. Here are our three loop input, and this data is a little much, so it will ask you for permission to see it or not, because the higher or more longer data you see on the web browser, the higher load it puts on the browser, which might cause it to slow down for a bit. So here are the top two URLs which gave us the HTML perfectly of the website, but the third one, which was not a valid one, gave us the error. But the workflow did progress and did process all the three URLs and gave us the final result or report. So this is how continuous error workflow can be used in your workflows. Now the next concept is master slave workflow, or you can also call it parent child workflow. In this arrangement, we employ parent to give command to child or slave workflows to coordinate together to give us the output. In the current workflow, I have employed this parent AI agent, which will obviously use the brain of GPT, and it will call this news agent. So this is a news workflow. I'll give a topic to this agent, and it will gather all the information, or it will delegate the job of gathering information and using that information to write a new news article or a blog to a slave workflow. And this is the slave workflow we are talking about, news agent. So I have written the name child workflow to it. So this will do job in parts. It will first search Wikipedia, or you can also use SERP API to gather information from different sources, and this news research agent will gather all the resources. It will pass it on to writer agent, which will write a blog on the available data, and it will be returned back to the parent workflow. So this is how master slave workflow can be used to execute complex tasks in parts. So one workflow does not fail the entire job, or the entire job does not depend on single point of failure. Next is error workflow. This node can be used to throw error and alert us in case of failure of any other workflow. It can be attached to other node. I've attached it to Gmail. You can use any other node where you want to log error. Through Gmail, I'll receive error message on this mail about which workflow has failed. Now, how do you attach this to normal workflows or call this from normal workflows? So this is another workflow which I have created to get Gmail mails and set mails and send them to users. Now, if in case there is any error in this, I want to use error workflow to alert me. So I'll go to settings here, and in error workflow, I'll select which workflow to call in case of error. And in that way, the error workflow will get triggered, and I'll receive the message that there's some error in this my workflow. And that's how you can use workflow trigger to your advantage, as it is really important in complex workflows to always be aware when there is any error, or if the pipeline is failing for any reason. And if you're using your workflow in production environment, it is really important to be aware that any task has failed for any clients. Now there are two types of OR operators you can use in NA10. First is logical OR, which is denoted by double pipes. Now, this can be used to check if the value of something is false. For example, if the value is empty, like false, zero, empty string, null, or undefined, it will use the fallback value. Basically, it will return false and then move on to the fallback value which we have provided. Next is nullish coalescence. It checks if something is missing. If the value is null or undefined specifically, it will only then use fallback value. It does not treat zero, false, or empty string as missing, so it keeps those values as true. The key difference basically between the two operators are that double pipe OR thinks empty things like zero, false, or an empty string are wrong and replaces them. While on the other hand, question mark only replaces a value if it is really missing. For example, null or undefined. You can simply remember this using this anecdote. Now I've designed this workflow to demonstrate both the operators. I will be sending two variables or a JSON object in which I have added two keys, email and age. Age will be 1 and email will be blank. And let's see how this one works. I'll just this workflow. And in this edit field, I've added $JSON and double pipe or operator and no email. And in the second one, I used the double question mark operator. And again, let's see how this one works. The workflow is executed, and let's see the results. So here we have received no emails, which is the fallback value. And here we have received the empty message or empty value, which is the first one, $json.email. So this one only checked if the value was null or undefined and which email wasn't. So that's how both the operator works with string. Now let's see how they both work with numbers. So with age, we had a proper number 1. So it returned 1 in both the cases, but now let's change it to 0. See how this one works. I'll trigger the workflow again and it has already run. So it has returned 20 in the first case in the double or pipe or operator. In the double question operator, it has received 0 because here it only checked if the value is null or undefined, which it isn't. So it returned the original value, which is 0, and in the first case it returned 20. So that's how you can use both the operators in specific situations to your advantage. And now the last one is $from AI data type, which we have already used a couple of times before. So to demonstrate again how it is used, I've created this AI personal assistant workflow in which AI agent is in the center. Now this agent will be sending Gmail on command from us. Now to send those mails, it will require email ID, subject, and message. So I've used $from AI data type, and inside that I've added email key. Now this $from AI will communicate backwards to the AI agent and tell it in what key value pair the email ID should be sent, the subject and the message should be sent. We do not need to tell the AI agent how to send the data forward. So by writing this, AI agent will automatically send Rishabh at example.com email ID with the email keyword, right? And this data type will catch it and execute the node. This is has made the job really simple. Otherwise, it takes a few steps to get this done. And in case there is any change in the keyword, the other nodes will have get affected too. But with $from AI, that is not the case. You can make changes to this, and that message or that email ID will still be received from the earlier node. So that's how $from AI is used. It is very simple to use and it works like magic.